Good morning, guys. Welcome to school. I wanted to make this video just to emphasize on the importance of parallel and perpendicular lines. The first thing that we should know about lines is that their form or standard form should be y equals mx plus b, and that basically gives us the slope and the y-intercept. We know that the slope is equal to the rise over run. So for example, for the first line, the one that is highlighted in green, the rise is 2 and the run is 3, so its slope is 2 over 3 and its y-intercept is 2. And for the second line, the one highlighted in yellow, it has the same rise, so a rise of 2 and a run of 3, but its y-intercept is -1. Okay, the only difference between these two lines is their intercept, their y-intercept, but they have the same slope. So the slope of the first line is 2 over 3, and the slope of the second line is also 2 over 3. And as you see in the picture, they never touch, they never intersect, which means that parallel lines have the same slope. Okay, so that is important, because every time we see a line of this form, y equals mx plus b, and there's another line with the same slope, that means they're parallel. Okay, so let's continue onwards, because we also have another type of line, which two lines, which are called perpendicular lines, right? These lines, right, look at the slopes. For this slope, it's 3, and for this slope is -1 over 3. So what happened, right? Let's see. The slope of the yellow line is going to be 3 over 1, obviously, right? The slope of the blue line is going to be -1 over 3. So what happened, right? The places switched. The numerator went to the denominator and the denominator went to the numerator, and also the sign changed, right? So if the slopes are negative reciprocals, okay, that means that you have two perpendicular lines. And perpendicular lines are lines that form a 90-degree angle. Okay, pardon me for the handwriting. I hope it's clear. If the slopes are negative reciprocals, which means the numerator and denominator flipped and the sign changed, that means they're perpendicular lines, and we're only looking at the slopes. Okay, so this is just the visual part of the concept. So now let's look at just lines that are not graphed. We could graph them, right? But let's just look at them without graphing them. Okay, so let's look at these two lines. The first thing I want to do is highlight the slope. So for example, this is the slope is 2 over 1, and for the other line, the slope right here is -1 over 2. Now as you can see, right, let me change purple. Okay, so as you can see, the places switch, because you have 2 over 1, and then that's the slope of the first line, and the slope of the second one is -1 over 2. Okay, so that means their place changed, right, flipped, and also the sign changed. So that means that these two slopes are negative reciprocals. Okay, and if they are negative reciprocals, that means they are perpendicular lines. Okay, and we're only looking at the slopes, perpendicular lines. Okay, so these lines are perpendiculars because their slopes are negative reciprocals. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so let's do the same thing we did for the other one. Let us highlight the slope. So 8 over 1, and then the other slope is going to be 8. Okay, now any number that is a whole number has a 1 underneath. So for example, this 8 for the red line has a 1 underneath. Okay, so what is the slope of the first line? The slope of the first line is going to be 8 over 1. And the slope of the second line is going to be 8 over 1, because it's a whole number. So that means they have the same slope. And if they have the same slope, the lines have the same slope, that means they're parallel lines. Okay? Which are lines that will never touch because they have the same slope. So that's that. Okay? Let's move on to the last one. Okay. Let us do exactly what we did previous two times. Let's highlight the slope. Oops. Okay. Highlight this slope. And let's highlight this other slope. Okay. So the slope of the first line is going to be 5 over 1 because it has an invisible 1 as the denominator. And the slope of the second line is going to be 1 over 5. Okay? Now notice how the numerator and the denominator flipped, but there was no sign change. Right? So that means that these lines, or yeah, these two lines are not perpendicular because they are not negative reciprocals, right? They are reciprocals. The place changed, but this sign didn't. So these lines are not perpendicular, and they are not also parallel because they do not have the same slope. So that's this one right here. That's that choice. I hope this video is helping you in establishing the idea that if two lines are parallel, they have the same slope. And if they are perpendicular, they have negative reciprocal slopes. Okay? So good luck on your Google Classroom assignment, and hit me up with any comments on YouTube or